Hi everyone, hi, this is Christine Crowell, and today I wanted to talk to you about something that is really prominent in the press right now. And um, this is going to be also the live that I'm doing tonight at 7 p.m. UK time, which is 2 p.m. American time if you're in New York or Atlanta, for example. And I want to talk about the DEI in private companies. I mean, President Trump has a new executive order coming out, doesn't he? So, what will you be doing as a private company to ensure that you're working in alignment with the law, for example, when and if this is fully the law? And we don't know whether that's going to come to the UK either, for example, because I understand he is going to be visiting the UK very shortly. There's not really much discussion about all of the things that they'll be discussing, but I'm pretty sure that this probably will be part of this as well. So, with regards to the diversity, equity, for example, and inclusion, you know, this has been in business for a long time, and we've been fostering this in the workplace environment, but it now is facing legal scrutiny. So, President Trump's latest executive order aims to eliminate illegal discrimination, and private companies must reassess their DEI strategies. And this is why I'm doing this short video, so that you can also join me live tonight at 7 p.m. where I go more deeper into it, because it's something that needs to be looked at within your organization as well. Otherwise, people will be able to take you to court, for example. And obviously, this is not legal advice. You should always seek your legal team for, proper advice. This is just my opinion coming from this particular, having a business myself, for example. Now, what you've got to look at is, are you ensuring that you are compliant and with anti-discrimination laws? So what does that really mean for you in business? So I'm going to go through it briefly, but I will be covering it tonight, and that's why I want you to join me tonight so that I can go deeper into this. But I'm going to go through this briefly with you now. The mandate is the US Attorney General, and it is here to investigate the DEI programs that may cross the line into illegal discrimination. And it directs agencies to conduct compliance checks and scrutinize corporate, non-profit, and educational DEI practices. So what does this really mean for you as a business, for example? Because they want to ensure that there's no illegal activity going on here. Now, I know that in some cases in America that, things was in that way, for example, but with AI now in place, then AI is non-biased, for example. Okay, so let's look at this risky practice. I'm going to call it risky practice, for example. Create a checklist, right? That's what you need to do. You need to create a checklist of your DEI policies, for example. Okay, what is it? Like how it was that there had to be a number of a quota for hiring on a promotion based solely on race or gender. So think about your employee, right? and also linking it to the compensation to the DEI goals. So whether you were creating programs that was to include certain groups from, exclude certain groups from these opportunities, for example, you really need to go through your policies. Whoever is dealing with your HR, your human resources, the team, the department, need to really go through to make sure that they're not discriminating, for example. So focus on, for example, in order for compliance, you don't have to abandon the commitment to inclusivity. Instead, the organization should really focus on inclusion rather than emphasizing on race or gender-based equity measures, for example. Ensure that your hiring and promotions are explicitly merit-based. So it's talking about what the person's skills needs to be. Now, okay, we're not allowed to go into things too deeply. It has to be on a merit that the person is able to do the job. And it doesn't matter what race you are, what disability you are, what age you are, for example. As long as you've got the capability and you're competent to do the job, then yeah, the best man should win. But what do you do when you've got, for example, maybe what happened before is that you had someone of, that was of a multicultural race, for example, or maybe an age or a disability, for example, and then you had someone who was, say, white, for example, okay, and they were just slightly above, and then the person that is, say, of color was just slightly under, but because you didn't have the quota for people of color, for example, or age or disability, for example, gender, for example, maybe you may have given that person that role because of that, but then with the key to give them additional training or something like that, okay? So I'm just giving you some examples here, okay? We've got to look at what the job is that we want them to do, and also that they are competent to do that job no matter what age, etc. So basically it's the best person wins that position, for example. Okay, so ensure that your hiring and your promotions are based on merit, okay? You need to also look at conducting regular audits of DEI programs under legal guidance. Shift from identity-based initiatives to broader employee development programs. And I'm just giving you a brief outline of what I'm going to be discussing and going into this deeper. If you're HR or business owner, you need to be aware, manager, you need to be aware of this, for example. So think about what the role of your HR and leadership is, and think about the guidelines that have been underscored for HR professionals and CEOs, because maybe you've had training and you may need to be retrained on what you've actually been trained on that is not the correct aspect now due to this order, for example. So think about, for example, and I'm just giving you a generic here before I go into it live today. So you've got to look at addressing the future of DEI compliance, and you may need to speak with your lawyer, or if you've got a company that you use for your HR policies, etc. It's all got to be redone. Not all, some of it's got to be redone, okay, for equity, for example. So think about the equal employment opportunity. There is a commission to enforce these new regulations. So they'll be focusing on companies that fail to comply with federal law. This is in America, if you're in America. And I'm quite sure this is going to be happening in the UK. So we'll see about that, but just think about this anyway. Okay? There's recommendations that organizations need to review their policies, and you can review your policies with a law firm that deals with employment law. You can there's companies that provide you with your policies that it's come from, like an HR law department, for example. All of these might need to be redone. Same with if you're registered with if you're in the UK, the Care Quality Commission. You're registered with an American firm to provide healthcare. When I say American firm, you're registered with a certain government licensing department to provide healthcare, for example. These policies are going to have to be redone, for example. The UK, it hasn't happened yet, but you still need to be on guard, because you never know, because at the end of the day, Donald Trump is meeting with Keir Starmer, and although it's to do with AI and healthcare technology and probably the data centers that they've got out there, for example, but we don't know whether this is going to be part of what they discuss as well. And then suddenly the UK comes up with it as well. So I'm just thinking ahead, because America's always ahead of the UK, for example, and I'm just looking, possibly at the near future that this is going to happen in the UK as well, for example. Okay, so like I said, you're going to look at reviewing your policies. Managers and employees, they'll all need to be trained on lawful DEE practices, for example. And there are some organizations that specialize in DEI practices, and obviously if you are part of that organization, then you've got to look at things as well, just to make sure that you're not being biased, for example. So with the live tonight, this is why I really want to go into it a bit more, to give you some clarity, to give some guidance, even though not from a legal point of view, from a business owner that is been used to employing thousands and thousands and thousands of staff members over my 40 years, for example. This is something as a business owner will need to look at with your team, for example. So the really big picture here is that the work culture and also the DEI evolution. Look, President Trump is writing all these orders like is on hyper mode at the moment, and I'm actually a bit shocked about all of this. Tell you the truth, I've never in my life seen this happen. It's as if everything is being undone that spent years to be done, for example. But we've got to look at this, the bigger picture, and maybe look at the DEI, the evolution that's happening. Okay, so despite the regulatory shifts that's happening, DEI, it really should remain an essential component, and that's from my point of view, of a thriving workplace. It has to. We've come too far, and I believe that it's important to build an inclusive culture that supports all employees while aligning the legal standards as well. The focus should be really accessible opportunities to all. I understand that, and focusing on environment where everyone can succeed. So join me live tonight at 7 p.m. UK time, where I'm going to be going into this more deeper. It's something that business owners need to think about, private organizations, because when the government says things, then we have to act as well. Okay, but it's really getting us to really look at our policies and updating things and making sure that it's relevant to today's standards as well, and that we're meeting the rules and regulations that are set by the government in order to operate in the organization that you have, for example. So click the link here. I'm going to put the link here for the live, and I would love for you to join me live tonight. And this is about DEI, the Trump order. But I know at the end of the day, I believe that this is also going to be coming to the UK and also around the world. There's going to be some things that's going to be some changes. Although it could go the other way, I really can't see Trump backing down on this at all, for at least whilst he's in office anyway. So I hope that was helpful to you, giving you something to think about and also to look at when you go into your workplace and your teams get together and go through those policies that you currently have, just to make sure that it is in line with the organization. Whether you're private or government, it should be aligned, and just to make sure that there's nothing that's going to cause any illegal discrimination cases against the private companies. Okay, so I hope that was helpful to you, and I look forward to speaking with you at 7 p.m. tonight. That's UK time, and that is 2 p.m. New York time, Atlanta time, just to give you an idea. And I look forward to speaking with you soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye.